ABC 24 has been on top of this deployment from the first moment the president even mentioned Memphis.
Yeah, in fact, our Lauren Turman continues our team coverage right now in the studio. Lauren, you looked at some of the Memphis stats, and how does that compare to what we're seeing in D.C.?
Well, there were certainly some differences, Ruben and Pepper, that we heard today before that memorandum was signed. But now that we know more about the multi-agency structure of this operation, which is going to involve the FBI, U.S. Marshals, and several other federal agencies, from those deployment orders to if they will be able to arrest citizens is still being worked out between President Donald Trump and Governor Bill Lee. Now, it is worth mentioning that at this point, it does seem like dual authorization is something that will happen. I'll get more into that in a couple of seconds. But now that we know more about the structure of this operation, it is certainly going to be something that we'll be seeing in the next several weeks. Again, no clear timeline has been emphasized at this point today during that conference. But recent reports show crime hitting a 25-year low in the area at this point in the year. And this multi-phase plan that Governor Bill Lee announced is a continuation of local and statewide efforts already in motion. And President Trump today detailing some of that crime data from 2024, including an incident where he said a woman was dragged out of her car at a movie theater. So he was certainly zeroing in on a lot of that crime that's happened over the past year. In terms of the FBI operation called Operation Viper, of which this effort is continuing, that operation worked alongside local agencies to target and arrest violent offenders. So the big question of today is, what could this all actually look like if once it rolls out here in Memphis? Well, the National Guard certainly has a long history of deployments within the state. In 1956, it was to oversee school integration in Clinton, Tennessee. In 1968, to stop riots in Memphis and Nashville after Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. was assassinated. And in 2020, following the killing of George Floyd during nationwide protest. So with this latest deployment, because it's so different, it is still unclear exactly what level of involvement these agencies will have. But of course, as we heard today, they want this to be a very collaborative, positive efforts to clear criminals off of the streets. Now, of course, this year alone, we've seen National Guard troops in cities like D.C. and Los Angeles, but still not everybody expects the National Guard to take such an intensive frontline role. I spoke with a former captain of the Shelby County Sheriff's Office who said that he believes the National Guard will take more of a backseat approach in all of this and learn more from the Shelby County Sheriff's Office and Memphis Police about how they operate within the city. So of course, that still remains to be seen. But one of the other big questions is dual authorization, which I mentioned earlier. That would give them the right to arrest citizens if the governor and the president are on the same page in all this, which at this point it seems that they are. But if the president himself were to enact this on his own, the National Guard would not be able to arrest citizens. So again, as far as what we know right now about the relationship between local law enforcement and the National Guard, those details weren't really provided much today during that press conference, but everybody has said that they want this to be a collaborative effort and that there's not really much they can do at this point. We heard that from local officials back on Friday. So it certainly will remain to be seen about if arrests can happen, as well as what offenses these arrests might be able to be taking place on. So of course, we will follow these developments and keep you all updated. But for now in the studio, I'm Lauren Turman.